Hello, everyone. Dr. Nikhil Verma here with another edition of Things I Didn't Learn in Med School. I was asked to give some video feedback on a recent post I had on LinkedIn about corticosteroids and how they have a negative connotation, negative effect on us that are trying to heal. So I'm going to try to answer those questions throughout this video, and I'm going to phrase it as if I was being interviewed because that's how he was asked to do to me. So I'm going to have another intro here in a second, and we'll see where this conversation goes. I hope you find it useful, and at the end of the day, and really makes you change how you consider using steroids in your own life or your own practice if you're a physician. So, hi, I'm Dr. Nikhil Verma. I'm a physical medicine and rehabilitation physician trained in interventional spine and musculoskeletal health with a focus on regenerative medicine. My practice is Essential Sports and Spine Solutions in Columbus, Ohio. I believe we have a cortisone problem in the United States when it comes to musculoskeletal injuries. Quite frequently, when the pain is moderate to severe and more on the severe end, we as a society quickly reach to medications. And one of the medications that are frequently given out either orally or through intramuscular injections are corticosteroids. I think that this is a very powerful tool to help with pain and inflammation when we're dealing with very acute situations. But we'll see in the next few years how this actually blunts our own immune response to have a positive anti-inflammatory effect down the road. So I think we overprescribe steroids and we overinject with steroids, and maybe we need to start reconsidering that. I want to be clear. I'm not against corticosteroid injections, cortisone injections, etc. I use it in my practice. I use my practice quite frequently. I know that this is what insurance pays for. I know sometimes you need to calm down an inflammatory joint or another inflammatory condition. I also know that it can be a very powerful anti-inflammatory medication when used appropriately. I also find benefits in it for a lot of conditions that are systemic and might not be well controlled with other medications or lifestyle modifications and diet alone. So I do want to be clear about that I'm not 100% against cortisone injections. Quite frequently, patients aren't told about the side effects that we know about these cortisone injections. For example, it can raise your blood pressure, it can increase your fasting glucose or your resting glucose. It can make you hyperactive. It can lead to insomnia. It can even lead to psychotic ideation. Those are some of the things that we do talk about, and those are kind of what are labeled, but even some physicians don't talk about those risks and those side effects. But what I'm becoming to be more interested in is our lymphocyte to monocyte ratio and how that has a negative impact on our long-term health. If our bodies can't produce the lymphocytes that are appropriate for having our own natural innate anti-inflammatory effects, then this has been proven through cancer, cardiovascular disease, and some other conditions to have a negative impact on our health. And we do know when we inject corticosteroids that this causes that ratio to go out of whack and can cause and potentially cause these negative impacts down the road. I think it's important for physicians to read their MRIs themselves, especially if you're dealing in the musculoskeletal world, and not just rely on the MRI report. I see it quite frequently on the MRI reports that I get, where the radiologist does not mention things such as modic changes or end plate inflammatory marker changes. They don't talk about a far lateral disc, and they might read the disc as being normal. They might miss some cysts or facet fluid that could be impinging on a nerve as it goes out. And it might be underread sometimes. I think these are important things that a physician needs to look at themselves because it's going to help determine how and where they're going to do their procedure. The MRI report is only part of the story. The rest needs to come from the investigation of those MRI images, but also a physical exam and a thorough history. All these clues together lead us to the proper treatment algorithm that's going to give our patients the best chance to heal. So, in my opinion, cortisone is the right treatment when you're in an acute inflammatory response or you have a very severe attack. Maybe you need to go hiking this weekend with your family. Maybe you have a big event coming up and you need a local trigger point injection or intramuscular injection to help calm things down. Those are the times and places that I use cortisone injections frequently. Sometimes if you have a really acute radiculopathy, herniated disc, just to calm down that pain. But when we're relying on these long term over and over again, that's when I start worrying that this is probably not the right choice for our patients. A more thoughtful and thorough approach to musculoskeletal care looks like working with chiropractors, physical therapists, changing diet and lifestyle modifications, using orthobiologics and regenerative medicine in an appropriate and right manner. In my practice, these are all comprehensive. We partner with great chiropractors and physical therapists that we have great communication with so we can really get to the crux of the problem and make sure that the treatment algorithm matches the symptoms, matches the recovery journey. In our practice, we quite frequently talk about supplements that might help and aid in pain and inflammation. And we also talk about the anti-inflammatory diet and sleep patterns and stress management and hydration. All these things are important, but very, very commonly ignored. We also talk about trying to avoid taking too many non-steroidal anti-inflammatory medications, trying not to take too many steroids, and also avoiding ice, not all the time, but when the acute pain is kind of subsided. These are all very small, low-hanging fruit items that can help our patients feel better. But if we're trying to heal from something, we really need to focus on the aspect of healing and recovery. And that doesn't come in a 8-minute conversation with a physician and an EHR that requires us to check all these boxes just to get our billing out. It really requires a comprehensive look at where the patient's at today and what their goals are at the end of the day and how we can get them to bridge that gap. The one thing I hope people take away from all this is to not be so reliant on medications and injections and procedures as what's going to help make you feel better at the end of the day. I am not anti any of these things. I think the biggest thing is you need to use them strategically and you need to use them appropriately for your certain condition. But without these other things of sleep, exercise, movement, stress reduction, proper diet, proper hydration, avoiding alcohol, avoiding smoking, avoiding nicotine products, avoiding drugs. If we can really tackle those low hanging fruits, we're going to see a massive shift in our health as a nation and as an economy. But the problem is right now we are stuck in this overworked, overstressed, underslept, processed food society. So I really hope people join me in spreading this message, is really getting the proper message out there for those that absolutely need it. But even look at our own lives. So for myself, I know that I need to do and work on some of these things. And I will continue to work on them because I know the benefits it gives me in the long run. Anyways, I hope everyone found this useful. I hope you liked it. Please share, subscribe, drop some comments below, share it with a friend, share it with a family member. And if you have any other ideas or topics you want me to cover, drop them below and we'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye.